Hello. So in this video, we'll continue going over the syllabus. Okay, so we talked about a couple of things already. Now we left off on the exams. So the exams are gonna be one of the most complicated things in the class. Still not very complicated, but it's gonna require some setup. Okay. So the idea with the exams that I mentioned, we're gonna take 4 exams, including the final. The dates will be provided in the course calendar. I already have the dates. I'm gonna make sure to put them in the course calendar as soon as possible. But if you're watching this video right now and you're curious, the dates that I have so far in terms of the exams are September 24th for the first exam, October 22nd for the second, November 19th for the third, and then our final, I think it's scheduled for Wednesday, the December 9th. Okay, so those are the dates. I will upload them in the course calendar, but for now, you know that that's what we have. Okay, now we're going to be doing exams with an online proctoring software called HonorLog. If you've used this before, you know how it works. If not, then it's nice. However, we'll have to do a trial run just to make sure that everything works with HonorLog and the exams. So basically what's going to happen, right? You're going to need to have a webcam for the exams, because what HonorLog does is that it basically is proctoring you online through an AI computer. And then if the AI detects too much, let's say, suspicious behavior, like looking away of, looking back too much or something like that, then it will actually make a flag, and then a actual human proctor will come and look at your recording, because everything's going to be recorded live through your webcam. Okay. If everything's fine, then that should be okay. I'll get copies of the recordings later with flags. If, let's say, the software and the AI found that maybe there were a lot of flags for this student, I'm going to check those manually and see that everything is okay and that no one's cheating, right? So this is what we're going to be using. Like I said, we'll do a trial run 1 week before the first exam, where we're going to do maybe even earlier, maybe even earlier in the semester, because the first exam, I think, is week 5, or either week 4 or week 5. So we might do something earlier, maybe a small quiz where we use HonorLog, just to make sure that everyone knows how to use it, everyone can access it correctly, and that it all works, so that once we actually take an exam, then there's no problems. The exams are going to be taken through Wire courses. I'm going to be using the quiz feature there, which means that you're going to submit your answers in Wire courses, in our course page. However, I also want you to be working, because I want to give you partial credit, I also want you to be working on the problems on a separate sheet of paper. Then I'll talk about the format for working on paper later in the syllabus. We're going to be working on paper. Once the exam time is done, or you've submitted everything in Wire courses in terms of the exam, right? Then you have an extra hour to scan all of your work that you did on your paper and then upload it to Wire courses. That way I can give you partial credit for your work, right? If I only did the exam on Wire courses, then since you can only submit answers, it's only right or wrong. And if it's wrong, even if you did most of the work correctly, you would just get 0 points for that question. So this way I can make sure that I give you partial credit and hopefully help you a little bit with taking the exams. Like, it's very easy to do silly mistakes, like forgetting a sign or something like that. So I don't want to penalize you too much for that. Okay. So again, let me specify that you're going to need a webcam. Now, in terms of getting a webcam or a laptop with a webcam or a tablet, the university does lend out, let me go to the technology section, does lend out both webcams on their own and laptops, and all of the laptops come with webcams. Okay? So if you don't have a webcam or you don't have a laptop, what you can do is, and I already uploaded this information into the course homepage in Wire courses, but you can you can contact the IT department, and you can let them know that you need either a webcam or a laptop, and then you should be good. This information, as I said, is already in Wire courses, but basically if you're in Laramie, you can just go to the IT department building, which I have the address in Wire courses, and then you tell them that you want a webcam or a laptop, and then they'll lend it for you for the semester. If you're not in Laramie, then you can just email them, and then I also have the email that you have to email to in the course homepage. Then you just have to give them your physical shipping address, and then let them know that you want to rent either a webcam or a laptop. They'll pay for all of the shipping, so you don't have to worry about anything of that. It's going to be free for you. Okay. So again, like I said, webcams are important. Having access to the internet and having a computer is going to be important for the exams and for the lectures. Right? So if you don't have anything, make sure to ask for this from the IT department as soon as possible, especially because the technology things like laptops and webcams are first come, first served basis, and they have a limited amount. So if you wait too long, by the time you actually request one, they might be already gone. Okay. So that's the exams. In terms of attendance, you're required to attend the exam. The only reason for which you are allowed to not take the exam is if you have a university excused absence, which has to go through the dean of students, or if you have an actual verifiable emergency that constitutes a reasonable excuse to not take the exam at the assigned time. Either way, please let me know as early as you can if this is going to be the case. Of course, if you have an emergency, you won't be able to notify me early, but other than that, notify me as soon as possible so I can schedule a makeup for all of the students that have to do the makeup, and then that way everything's going to be ready. I'll say more about the exams once the first exam is closer, but for now, you can just read this here, and this is basically how it's going to work. Now, in terms of written homework, like I mentioned, it's not going to be a lot. If you notice in the syllabus, the points are just 600, right? So not a lot in terms of the total pointage for the class. Right? And basically, the main goal of written homework is going to be for me to give you feedback on your mathematical writing. So the way it's going to work is that I'll assign a homework every Friday and make it due the next Friday. Right? So you'll have a whole week to work on the homework. So for example, I'll assign a homework this Friday, August 28th, and it will be due next Friday, September 4th. Most of the time, it's just going to be 2 problems that you have to do, and then I'll choose one to grade. Okay? And then I'll give you feedback on that. And again, let me specify that the point of this is to give you feedback on your writing. Right? A lot of you are going to be using mathematics or for the rest of your lives, whether it's, or at least to the rest of your university career. Right? So being able to express your mathematical ideas in a logical, organized way using proper mathematical notation is going to go a long way for all of the classes that you're going to take that involve any sort of mathematical component to it that you have to share with other people. Right? So this is one of the most important things that you're going to learn in this class. Right? So what's going to happen is, in terms of how you're going to submit the work, these are the guidelines that I want. Right? I want you to write your work in plain white printing paper, right? And it must be written in pencil. I can accept ink, but if and only if there are no scribbles on the submission. Right? So think of the homework that you'd submit on wire courses as a final draft, like maybe of an essay or something like that. You don't want any typos or anything of that sort. If you're comfortable using any sort of typesetting software, you're free to do that. Since most of you are freshmen, I doubt that you know how to use any of these typesetting software, so don't worry about it if you don't know what this is. Again, you can just do it on a plain white sheet of paper, either in pencil or ink. Okay. Other than that, once you've done your homework, what you're going to do is you're going to scan it and upload it to wire courses. And this is something that's important. Okay, so let me go to the technology again. In terms of submitting your exams and your written homework, and the work that I said you're going to submit for the exam, I'm only going to accept files if they are scanned. And I'm only going to grade files that are scanned. What does that mean? I don't want you to take a picture and upload a picture. The problem with pictures is that there's not enough contrast between the background and the actual writing, so it makes it really hard to read. However, with scans, what scans do is that they kind of increase the contrast between what you wrote and the background, so it's easier to understand what you wrote. Okay. So since I'm only going to accept scanning, you have 2 options. You either, let's say 3. You either have a scanner available for you, right? Or you go to the library here on campus and use the scanner there. Or if you have a smartphone, what you're going to do is you're going to download a free scanning app from the App Store or the or Google Play, or whether you're having Android or Apple, right? And then you can use those to scan. I have links to commonly used scanning apps that are free in the course homepage. Right? And just as an example, we're already going to be using Google Mail in this class. I'll talk more about that later. Because of that, it's going to be very easy for you to just use Google Mail, right? Because Google Drive already has a built-in scanner, right? It's very easy to use. I also posted a link about how to use the Google Drive app. So you should be good to go if you're scanning with the Google Drive. But again, there are other free scanning apps. I think Camcorder is free, and that's the one that most of my students use during the summer, right? And there weren't really any problems. Like, all of the students were able to scan things correctly. They were able to do it on time, and most of the time it was readable. And that's the one thing you have to be worried about scanning, right? Make sure that after you scan your homework or your exam, that you look over it before you submit it. The reason why is because even though it might look correct and readable on your paper, once you scan it, if the lighting is wrong or something like that, it might be very hard to read. So you have to make sure to check your scanned document first, make sure that everything is legible. Also make sure that everything is in the right orientation, right? So don't submit some of the pages like rotated, counterclockwise or clockwise, so they're all in the right orientation. And then that should be good, right? Other than that, just upload it, and I will grade it. I will grade everything online through Wire Courses and give you feedback that way, whether it's for the exams or for the homework. Okay. Now, the other thing I'm going to require is that I'm going to require you to save your scanned documents as a PDF. Right? That's the other thing. So in fact, in the assignments, I will make it so that you can only submit PDF files. Right? And then I reserve the right that if you don't take a picture, if you don't use the scanning app or a scanner and you take a picture and it's hard to read, I reserve the right to not grade the assignment and give you a 0 for the things that I don't understand. Okay? So that's scanning, and that's how you're going to submit your written homework. Again, you're going to scan it once you're done and then upload it to Wire Courses. Now, that's the same thing you're going to do for the exam, the written part of the exam, where you show me your work. It's going to be the same instructions. Read it in plain white paper, make sure that there are no scribbles, and then you're going to scan it and upload it to Wire Courses. Okay. Now, make sure that all of your work is legible, as I mentioned, that it's well organized, that it follows a logical sequence of steps. I'm going to give a lot of feedback on the first homework. It always happens like this. And so I won't take too many points off, maybe the first and second homeworks, because you're kind of like just learning in terms of the written homework. You're kind of just learning how to write correctly, okay, in terms of mathematics. However, as we go forward and forward in the semester, if I give you feedback and you keep not using that feedback and making the same mistakes, then I am going to take a lot of points off because of that. Okay, so that's the exam part and the written homework. So I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to go into the ALEX portion, which there's a little bit to explain here. So let me do that in another video.